You are standing at a grill. The meat in front of you is familiar, cooked 1,000 times, eaten without a second thought. But ask yourself something you've never actually questioned. Why is it beef, and never lion? Never wolf. Never shark. You hunt. You eat meat. That's not the mystery. The mystery is the invisible line your species drew around certain animals, a line so old, nobody remembers drawing it. Most people assume it's just culture. A taboo, nothing more. That answer collapses the moment you look closer. The real reason starts with math older than agriculture, the 10% rule. Every time energy climbs the food chain, 90% of it vanishes, burned as heat, spent on movement, lost to simply staying alive. A blade of grass feeds a deer. The deer keeps a fraction of that energy. A lion eating the deer keeps a fraction of that. By the time you reach a predator, you're eating the leftovers of leftovers, which is why a lion needs 15 to 20 pounds of meat a day just to survive. For an ancient hunter deciding what to risk their life chasing, the math wasn't close. Prey over predator, every time. But energy was never the real danger. The real danger was invisible, and it lived inside the predator's body. It's called biomagnification. Toxins enter at the bottom of the food chain. Trace amounts in water, soil, plants. A small fish eats thousands of tiny organisms and absorbs a whisper of toxin. A bigger fish eats thousands of small fish, and that whisper becomes a measurable dose. By the time something reaches the top of the chain, the concentration isn't just higher, it can be millions of times higher than where it started. In 1966, scientist Charles Worster documented eagles dying along the Great Lakes, not poisoned directly, but carrying DDT concentrated up through every fish they'd ever eaten, until their own eggs cracked before hatching. The eagles were dying from everything their food had already eaten. That's what sits inside every apex predator alive today. Mercury. Lead. A lifetime of accumulated chemical residue, stored in fat and muscle, waiting. And then there are the parasites. Predators eat raw flesh constantly, which means their tissue hosts organisms built for exactly that lifestyle. Trichinella among them, a parasite that migrates into human muscle when undercooked predator meat is eaten, causing swelling, fever, and historically, death. Every culture that ever ate bear knew this instinctively. Cook it until there's nothing left to survive. Here's where it gets strange. This knowledge predates chemistry. Predates microscopes. Psychologist Paul Rosen spent decades studying disgust and found something remarkable. Humans show an instinctive aversion to eating carnivorous animals, present in young children before they're taught anything, consistent across cultures with no contact with each other. The explanation is evolutionary. Ancestors who felt nothing about eating a predator sometimes died from the toxins, the parasites, the accumulated poison of a life lived at the top. The ancestors who felt an unexplained wave of resistance, who found the idea simply wrong, without knowing why, survived. That feeling was inherited, generation after generation, until it became something you carry without ever choosing it. Right now, imagine a wolf steak. Something in you reacts before your thoughts even form a sentence. That's not culture. That's ancestral memory, still running. The animals you eat every day, chicken, beef, fish, all sit low enough on the chain that the chemical load stayed survivable, the parasite risk stayed manageable, the ancient disgust never fired. Your dinner plate is the output of a calculation your ancestors ran for thousands of generations, without ever writing a single word of it down. The lion was never off limits because of a rule someone made. It was off limits because your body already knew what it was carrying, long before you were born to ask the question at all.